Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. We are the Group 5 presenting Subdivisions Survey, Dividing Land for Development. So before we start, the following are the presenters: Ms. Maria Lea Bucana, Ms. Ivy Antoinette Celio, Ms. Angelica Dablo, Ms. Christine Joyce-Aurelia, and lastly, Marjorie Mahmoud, which is me. And before we tackle the main points, let us recall or briefly define the subdivision surveys. So what is subdivision survey? A subdivision survey is a type of land survey that divides a larger parcel of land into smaller lots for residential, commercial, or industrial development. It establishes property boundaries, ensures legal land division, and prefers the land for sale or construction. Imagine you have a big piece of land, like a huge cake. A subdivision survey is like cutting the cake into smaller slices, so different people can have their own piece. But instead of cake, we are dividing land into lots for houses, buildings, or businesses. So why do we need to do this? Which is the purpose of subdivision surveys. It is to make land easier to sell or use. Just like you wouldn't sell a whole cake to one person if they only need a slice. Landowners divide land into smaller, manageable pieces. It is to have clear boundaries so no one argues over where their land starts and ends. And lastly, to follow government rules, as there are laws about how land can be used, like residential, commercial, or industrial areas. Why is it important to land development? It is important for urban planning as it helps build organized communities. Instead of random houses popping up everywhere, subdivision surveys help plan streets, parks, and utilities properly. While legal clarity, it avoids land disputes, so people know exactly where the land is, preventing conflicts. Economic growth, as it encourages business and development. Investors and businesses can plan their projects better. Infrastructure development ensures essential services like roads, electricity, and water supply so people can live and work comfortably.
Good day everyone, I am Maria Lea Bucana, and the type of subdivision survey first is the simple subdivision and the complex subdivision. Simple subdivision divide land into few lots with minimal regulation, while complex involve multiple lots, planning, and legal process. Next is lot subdivision survey, which divides a lot parcel or a division into smaller lots for individual or ownership. Next is consolidated subdivision survey, which merge multiple lots into one with divided into a new layout. Next is boundary subdivision survey, adjust or redefine boundaries between existing lots. Next is a survey or subdivision survey, which redefine lot subdivision due to new regulation, land use charges, or dispute, meaning that when zoning laws change, ownership conflict arise, etc. And lastly is the town site or village subdivision survey, which large-scale subdivision of planning, communities, or residential areas. These involve designing street, utilities, and public spaces for structured community development. That's all.
Today, I will be discussing the three methods of subdivision survey: the lot and block method, meets and bounds method, and the public land survey system. Lot and block method. It is also known as the recorded plat survey system or recorded map survey system. This method involves in dividing a large space of land into smaller lots, which each are assigned with its own number or identifier. It is used particularly in urban and suburban areas. So this method is originated in the United States, late 19th century, where urban areas is expanding. So the advantage of this method among the three is it provides clear and organized way to identify individual parcels of land, while its disadvantage is where the lot and block system becomes complex. It is difficult to manage and to navigate multiple lots and blocks, especially if the layout is irregular or poorly planned. Next is the meets and bounds methods. So this method defines the boundaries of a parcel of land by describing its perimeter in terms of distance or meters and direction or bounds. This often uses natural or artificial landmark to create a detailed and precise description of the property. So the method has its origin in ancient land surveying practices dating back to the Roman Empire. It is widely used in England and brought to the America colonies by European settlers. So, the advantage of this method is it was particularly well suited for regions with irregularly shaped parcels of lands or areas with rich in natural landmarks, while it also has disadvantage which induce challenges. Over time, landmarks like trees or rivers could disappear or change, resulting in conflicts over border boundaries. Third is the Public Land Survey System or PLSS. So it is also known as the Rectangular Survey System. This method is used in the United States to survey and divide land into rectangular parcels for the purpose of sale and settlement. It divides land into a grid using baselines, east-west, and principal meridians north-south as its reference point. In townships, it is divided into 6 by 6 miles, which are divided into 36 numbered sections, each 1 square miles, 640 acres. So PLSS dates back to the Land Ordinance of 1785, which was enacted by the United States Congress to facilitate the orderly settlement and sale of land in the Western Territories. So the advantage of this method is it provides standardized and organized way to describe land, which simplifies property transactions and reduces confusion over land boundaries, while its disadvantage is its rigid grid structure, which may not accommodate irregularly shaped parcels or unique land features, resulting in possible land use inefficiencies.
Key components and processes. Here we will know the surveying equipment and techniques. First is a total station. It is a high-tech ruler that measures distance and angles with extreme precision. Second is a GPS or Global Positioning System. It works like Google Maps but much more accurate for marking land boundaries. Theodolite is like a telescope, but instead of looking at stars, it measures angles between land points. Drones, it is optional, like a flying camera that takes pictures from the sky to map the land faster. Steps in conducting a subdivision survey. Step 1. Research land records. Before starting, surveyors check all maps and legal documents to see who owns land and if there are any restrictions like protected areas. As shown in the image, those are the examples of legal documents: the deeds, OCT or original certificate of title. Step 2. Conducting the field survey. As shown in the image, surveyors go to the actual land and use their tools, GPS, etc. to measure everything properly. Step 3. Map creation and plotting. The data from the survey is used to make a detailed subdivision plan, showing individual lots, streets, and open spaces. In the image is an example of subdivision plan. Step 4. Legal documentation and approval. Surveyors submit the plan to government offices, to DNR, LGU, LRA for approval. Once approved, new land titles are given to landowners. In short, surveyors measure, make a map, and get approval so the land can be properly divided and sold. That's all for one part.
Good day everyone. Our discussion will be focusing on the two primary types of subdivision survey, which is a simple and complex subdivision surveys, and their respective outputs. So let's recall first what is the subdivision survey. So subdivision survey is a type of surveying that is used to develop a large parcel of the land into smaller parcels. A surveyor will also use a variety of methods and instruments to measure, locate, and plot the boundaries of the parcel of the land. So these measurements will then be used to create and plot or map of the subdivision that will be used by the local government and development. There are two types of subdivision surveys: the simple subdivision surveys and the complex subdivision surveys. The complexity of the survey depends on the size of the project, infrastructure needs, and regulatory requirements. Simple subdivision surveys. A simple subdivision surveys involve dividing a large parcel into smaller lots with the minimal changes to infrastructure. These are common for agricultural land division, family inheritance, or small residential development. So second is the complex subdivision survey. So unlike the simple subdivision survey, a complex subdivision surveys involve large-scale land division requiring extensive planning, infrastructure development, and regulatory approvals. So these are typically used for large residential communities, commercial zones, and industrial development. Simple subdivision surveys. So the purpose of the simple subdivision surveys regulation is to provide a simplified and abbreviated procedure for the planting of the small and uncomplicated subdivisions. So first is the subdivision plat maps, or the plotting of the plot that you subdivide. So here, a basic map showing the division of the land into smaller lots. Second is the legal description. So in here, documents defining property boundaries for deeds and ownership. Third is survey reports. So it outlines survey methods, findings, and the compliance of the regulations. Last is the stakeout and marketing. So physically markers placed on the land to indicate the new property lines. Simple subdivision survey output. By definition, it is a division of the land into a smaller number of lots with a straightforward layout. So subdivisions of land with an area less than 1 hectare, pero kung agricultural land siya, pwede rin may exceed 1 hectare, wherein ang roads are not required to be delineated, not necessarily to develop an open space are optional. So refer here to the figure 1, as you can see on the screen. This is the example of the simple subdivision survey output. Dividing a single lot into 2 or 4 parcels for family members or a small residential development. Complex subdivision surveys. We have detailed subdivision plots. It shows here lot divisions, street layouts, and zoning information. Comprehensive legal description. It ensures clarity in land ownership and transaction. So, survey reports with engineering details. So, it includes infrastructure and environmental consideration, GIS and it is used for urban planning and integration into geographic information system. So, takeouts and monitoring for infrastructure. So, guides construction teams in the land regulations. Outputs of complex subdivision surveys. It is the division of the land into numerous lots with intricate layouts, road networks, and infrastructure systems. It involves a detailed planning, approvals processes, and often environmental impacts. So, as you can see in the figure 2, this is the example of the complex subdivision survey, a large residential subdivision, mixed-use developments, and commercial or industrial parks. Subdivision of the registered land pursuant to Batas Pambansang or PP 220 and the PD 957 as amendment. And land development is required for the land with area greater than 1 hectare, which includes road passageways and open space as such as
Case study is based on our research online. So here are our case studies. First is the case study 1, formal plat requirement in subdivision development. This case study is all about the need for a formal plat in land development to ensure proper planning and legal compliance. So first is regulatory compliance, which is subdivision must follow legal requirements including zoning laws and land use regulation. Next is stakeholders involvement. Developers, government agencies, and landowners must collaborate to approve that plat. Next is the challenge phase. Issues like founders dispute, environmental concern, or permit delays may arise. And lastly is the outcome, a legally recognized subdivision plan that ensure proper land use and especially for our infrastructures.
So for case study 2, real estate subdivision and management. This case study examines the role of real estate management in subdivision development. Key aspects include land valuation. Proper surveying determines fair property values for development. Title and ownership issues. Ensuring clear land titles before subdivision prevents disputes. For infrastructure integration, planning for roads, utilities, and public spaces enhances marketability. And lastly, economic growth. Well-planned subdivisions contribute to real estate market stability and urban expansion. Challenges and solution. One of the major challenges in subdivision surveys is legal disputes. Issues such as unclear land titles, overlapping claims, and historical conflicts often lead to delays and legal battles. Resolving these disputes requires legal mediation, proper documentation, and accurate land surveys. Another challenge is environmental concerns. Subdivision development can affect ecosystem, water resources, and biodiversity. To minimize negative impacts, conducting environmental impact assessments and complying with environmental regulations are necessary steps. Funding is also a significant hurdle. The cost of land acquisition, surveys, permits, and infrastructure can be overwhelming. Seeking government grants, forming public-private partnership, and implementing phased development approaches can help address financial limitations. Best practices for effective subdivision surveys. To overcome these challenges, best practices must be followed. First, maintaining proper documentation is essential. GIS technology can be used for precise mapping, and all legal documents, such as titles and permits, must be updated and validated. Another crucial strategy is community involvement. Engaging local stakeholders ensures transparency and public consultations, help address concerns. Participatory surveying techniques also help resolve disputes efficiently. Finally, compliance with laws is non-negotiable. Adhering to zoning regulations, building codes, and environmental laws ensures ethical and sustainable land development. Coordination with local government agencies further streamlines the process.
So for the conclusion, subdivision surveying is a complex process that requires a thorough understanding of land surveying principles, laws, and regulations. The surveyor must accurately measure, locate, and map the boundaries of the property, then create a plat or map of the proposed subdivision, and prepare documents for filing with the local government. Subdivision surveying is an important part of the development process and requires experienced and knowledgeable surveyors. Subdivision survey provide the foundation for organized land development. Simple subdivision focus on minor land divisions with minimal infrastructure changes, while complex subdivision involve extensive planning, regulatory approvals, and infrastructure development. The outputs of these surveys ensures that land development is conducted efficiently, legally, and sustainably. That's all. Thank you.